Good Guys with Guns, HR 38, the law that would allow concealed carry reciprocity, and our special guest, Jake FREIVALD. This is The Loaded Mic, and I'm Dan Watt. There's a new study out by John Lott at the Crime Prevention Research Center. It reveals something that the gun grabbers don't want you to know. First, let's start with the basics. In 2024, the FBI reported that there are approximately 1.2 million violent attacks reported every year in America. Now, studies have shown us that there are up to 2.5 million defensive gun uses every year in America. This means good people with firearms are stopping attackers approximately 2/3 of the time. Well, as it turns out, through analysis in this new study by Mr. Lott, civilians are stopping more of these attacks than the police. The gun grabbers are in shock over this, not only because it goes against everything they've been taught to believe. You know, guns are dangerous and guns cause people to be violent. And if you have a gun, you're more likely to accidentally shoot someone. All that nonsense and more. The anti-gun crowd has been programmed to believe this stuff. But what it tells us is that all along, regardless of the propaganda served up by the left-wing media, it takes a good guy with a gun to stop a bad guy with a gun. And when that good guy is you, the average American citizen, the anti-gun crowd starts to squirm. They hate the fact that you might be in control of your own life and you might eliminate the criminals that they're protecting. So according to Mr. Lott, armed citizens cover a much broader ground geographically and by numbers than law enforcement officers, which means the average concealed carrier is much more likely to be at or near the scene of a violent attack and be able to respond quicker, likely saving more lives. And this is to take nothing away from law enforcement. It's just physically impossible for them to be on the scene quick enough to prevent attacks from happening. Now, the research shows that active shooting incidents were stopped by armed citizens approximately 20% more than police. The research also shows that out of 199 cases where armed citizens stopped active shooting attacks, 2 armed citizens were killed, resulting in a probability rate of 0.010%, while out of 167 cases where police stopped active shooting attacks, 27 police were killed, resulting in a probability rate of 0.162. So, of course, the gun control advocates and left-wing media aren't happy with these results and have tried to debunk this latest report because they don't want you to know that you're much safer when you carry a gun. It really does seem that the anti-gun crowd wants you to remain in perpetual state of unarmed helplessness. So we're going to talk about this and many other things with when he's not dashing through the snow, he's decking the halls with boughs of holly. John Chiara. And some people say he lacks Christmas spirit. We like to call it holiday adverse. Anthony Diso. I also want to introduce our special guest, president of Propitious Media and the creator of the Good Guy with a Gun calendar, Jake FREIVALD. Jake, thanks for being here, Jake.
Thanks for letting me be here, Dan. Great to meet you all.
Yeah, great to meet you too. And the calendar is fantastic. We're going to get into that. I really appreciate the calendar, and everyone's got to know about it. I wanted to talk to you about this new study by John Lott. Armed citizens 20% more likely to stop violent attacks than police. What are your thoughts?
It honestly doesn't surprise me even a little bit. So I've spent the last year and a half immersed in finding DGUs, right, the defensive gun use stories, and there are so many of them where, you know, they say that when seconds count, the police are only minutes away.
Right.
That's not a disparagement of police in any way whatsoever.
Right.
But somebody who is close to the scene, has a weapon, and stops a bad guy from doing something really, really bad. It happens all the time. It's constant. Yeah. So it actually doesn't surprise me even a little bit. I've got a couple of stories I can talk about if you want to go into more detail on what that.
Well, let's do that. And also, Anthony, you want to show the calendar? we have Jake. This is Jake's calendar right here, and in it, so what Jake did. This is really unique, Jake, and I think everyone's going to really appreciate this. But this calendar right here, I was my friend Eric Pratt over at Gun Owners of America told me about it. And they thought it was something that I did because it was good guy with a gun. And somebody got it confused with good gun, bad guy, which is the name of my book series. But I said, no. I said, I don't know what that is. They said, well, you got to get a hold of this guy and get one of these calendars. It's pretty cool. And so I got it. And what it is for every day of the year in 2026, Jake writes a little story about a defensive gun use. So every day in 2026, you'll get to see another story of basically a good guy or a good gal stopping a criminal, right? So Jake, tell us more about the calendar and maybe give us a couple of these stories.
So there's always a need for us to talk in the gun community about why guns are good. It's not enough to say guns aren't bad. You have to say why guns are good. And a while ago, it started with a Facebook comment that somebody made where they said, "Oh, that doesn't happen. The good guy with a gun is a myth." And I said, "It's not a myth. It happens all the time. We know that it happens all the time." So I started doing some research, and I just started on Facebook. At that point, I was just plugging one good guy with a gun story every day on Facebook. I did it for 100 days, and they finally relented. They're like, "Okay, I had no idea." And I think that's the big issue, is that people just have no idea that this actually happens. And so you look at guys like John Lott, brilliant guy, tells us the statistics and makes sure that we understand the math behind everything. But we also don't have a lot of sources that personalize these stories, right? The most you've got is a news article or maybe a couple of news articles, but that might happen once that you remember. It happens every day, but it happens once that you remember. So I said, wouldn't it be cool if my contribution to the gun community was to say, here's the humanization of the good guy with a gun. Here's the real story behind it. And when I say guy, it's very often a victim of domestic abuse, right? It's a woman. It's a very old man who is up against very young, a couple of very young people. Let's make that a human thing so that we can look and say, is there any one of these people in this calendar, any one of these stories where you'd say, we would be better off if that person were not armed, right? And so that's the gist of the story. I see this as kind of, Dan, you talk in your book a lot about the mentality and the kind of the propaganda that the anti-gunners have. This is adding one more aspect to the good news that we can bring about gun rights to America.
Yeah, that sounds great. That's a good point. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, when you just said that, I just thought of something, because oftentimes it's hard to make arguments to the opposition, regardless of it, whether it's gun rights, whether it's climate, whether it's politics, whether it's whatever, law enforcement. But what you said was really good. It's like you have to personalize it, because a lot of people will not understand. They'll have a general idea about how things work, but if you can get them to personalize it, it hits home. Possibly. Again, and we're all trying to put those messages out one by one to individual people, that hopefully it makes a difference little by little. And that's I read a couple of the pages here, and it's great. They're great stories.
Yeah. I don't know, Jake. I don't know. Oh, go ahead, Jake.
I was just saying, it changed the way my wife approaches this stuff. In fact, she told me as we were going through this project, she was proofreading and things, and she's like, "This is crazy." She grew up on Long Island, not really a gun community, and she's never been around guns very much. And she's like, "This is insane." It totally changed her perspective.
So, well, first of all, everybody's got to get this calendar. You have to get this. And the website, the website is what? It's good. What is the website exactly?
So the website is goodguywithagun.online. Right. Okay. That takes you to a place where I am posting stories every single day. So I have been posting since November 1st. We've got one a day since then. And when the time comes, I'll be posting each one of these to that site every day. Oh, wow. If you get the calendar, then you will get a subscription where you can see all the detail. If you don't get a calendar, then you might see a link, but you won't get all the detail.
Excellent. Now, I haven't read through the whole thing yet. I started reading it and I couldn't stop. It was really good. But oh, go ahead, John. You got something?
Well, I just thought of another perspective on the individuals with guns. Is there any information? I mean, we always see all the news about shooters with guns, obviously, and therefore the shooters are bad people because of the guns. Is there any kind of information that tells us any downsides of legal gun owners owning guns? Because I never see anything.
I think the only thing that they really can capitalize on, and it's a far stretch, they try to capitalize either the kids or the accidental firings, which is minuscule. It's a minuscule amount. It's not even worth talking about when you're talking about the broad spectrum of gun use. But I think that's really all they got. Yeah, I mean, good guys are they're good guys. They're not out to hurt people with their gun. Is that the idea? I would carry a gun because you want to save lives, you know. Jake, I wanted to mention, and I don't know because I didn't read through the entire thing. Like I said, I started reading it, but do you talk about Susanna Hupp from 1991, and are you familiar with that story?
So no, and I had a specific purpose with making the calendar to say that thing that never happens every day. So every story in the calendar is from 2024, right?
Oh, okay.
So literally 365 2024 stories. And next year, when I do the calendar again for 2027, it'll be 365 2025 stories, and so on and so on. Every day this happens.
Cool. I gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense. But just as a side note, the Susanna Hupp story, really quick in bullet points. It happened in 1991. She was with her parents, and at a big, what they called the cafeteria it was called Luby's, I think, or something, Ruby's or Lubby's or something like that. It was a cafeteria in Texas. Well, this guy crashes through the window and he starts shooting people in the cafeteria. And she had just taken her gun out of her purse because Texas law at the time didn't allow her to carry in the restaurant. So she left it in her car or home. Yep. She said, that's all right. I got this guy. I got a clear sight on him. She went to reach for her purse, and the gun wasn't there.
Yep.
The guy killed her father, among many other people. So she tried taking her mother out of the restaurant, and she thought her mother was following her out, but she was escaping, and a lot of people were getting out while this was happening. So she's escaping, and she thought her mother was right behind her, but her mother went back to stay with her father, and she ended up getting shot too. So all because the legislature at the time didn't allow you to carry
It's a horrifying story. Yeah. I remember she testified in front of Congress about that incident. There's YouTube video of her testifying in front of Congress.
Yeah. She did it again several years later and talked about it again, which is, boy, it's really, it was really just a sad story. But it's an example of why it's so important to be able to carry a gun. And I think your calendar points that out, perfectly.
Just send those to Congress.
Yeah, see if they'll read them.
Yeah, they can't read anyway.
I know somebody who bought a calendar specifically so he could tear off a page every day and put it on his coworker's desk. I don't know when that's going to escalate into harassment, but I mean, I think it's good.
That's good. That's what we need to do to some of these people. Hey, let me get to one of our sponsors real quick, and we'll get right back here with Jake. You want to know who's fighting for your gun rights? Gun Owners of America. Now, GOA is the no compromise gun rights group, so I urge you to become a member at gunowners.org. Well, what have they done? Well, GOA secured a preliminary injunction against the ATF pistol brace rule, and GOA members submitted a record 85,000 plus comments opposing the ATF's universal registration check rule. They helped enact permitless carry in Nebraska and Florida, and GOA secured victories in California, Illinois, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. Plus, they won 2 legal victories against the ATF's zero-tolerance policy. And GOA fought to overturn Joe Biden's ban on funding hunter education, shooting sports, and archery in schools. So, the constant attacks on our Second Amendment, we often ask ourselves, what can I do about it? This is what you can do. You can become a member at gunowners.org and help us save the Second Amendment. Anyway, so Jake, it's a really great calendar. What kind of what are some of the stories, if you can give us maybe a couple of them, that really stand out to you?
I actually tabbed a bunch of them because I said, what are these guys going to want to, what kinds of gun control are these guys going to want to talk about? What kind of stories? And so I'll tell you two that really affected me that I just read and blew my mind. And I'd be also interested in telling you the ones that changed my wife's perspective on this somewhat too. The two that blew me away were Christine, I'm going to say her name wrong, Jenahan, something like that, in Idaho, 85-year-old woman, and this got national coverage, so you may even remember this one. And she was, a person invaded her house, right? Somebody entered, like a 35-year-old man or something like that. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. Invaded her house and demanded, goods, money, trying to find what they could steal from that area. And she was chained to a chair. She was able to drag the chair while he was in another part of the house. She was able to drag the chair back so she could pull out her firearm. He came back upstairs and she shot him. So here's a guy who is like a young man assaulting an 85-year-old woman. He's beaten her, and she's been shot. She shot her through the stomach, and
he shot her in the stomach.
He shot her first. Yes.
Wow.
And so she's like bleeding, is sitting in a chair, handcuffed to that chair. She gets the firearm. She's able to shoot him, and he's dead in her foyer. Now, she has a disabled son who lives with her. So 10 hours later, after she's killed the invader, the disabled son comes upstairs and realizes something is going on. And she's able to get a phone and calls the police. 10 hours later, the police show up. So you want to talk about the police not being there on time? You talk about like the great equalizer. This is an amazing situation. That was on March 13th of 2024 in Bingham County in Idaho.
Wow.
So I like just the I hesitate to say it, the stones on that woman, can I say that?
Yeah.
Is amazing to me.
Yeah.
Another one. Well, go ahead. Any comments on there? Like reaction?
Well, I think it's amazing. And you pointed out one fact that the cops just can't get there in time. I'm reading a townhall.com. Again, it's a John Lott article, and I happen to know John, great guy. And it says that, the headline, it says it all. In a city where police emergency response time is 36 minutes, they want to ban civilians carrying guns for protection. And this is in New Orleans.
Yeah, crazy.
So anyway.
New Orleans.
And by the way, I mentioned John Lott talks about the statistics, but they publish on the Crime Prevention Research Center, they publish write-ups every month or so of 20 or so stories about DGUs. So also well worth checking out his site for both the statistical information and for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, John's got some great stuff. And a couple great books too.
Yep.
So
War Guns Plus Crime.
Recently did a show with him. I think it was I can't remember whose show it was, on Newsmax or something. I was on with John. I think it was Chris Salcido. And I often see John in airports because we usually travel to the same events and stuff like that. So he's a good guy, and he's got what a wealth of knowledge. So hats off to John Lott.
Yep.
But go ahead. You got another story for us?
Yep, I got a couple. Another one. This actually just completed its cycle. So there was a Marine corporal, a recruiter in Michigan, and he, for some reason, went off the deep end one night. He entered a home. Ran into the homeowner. The homeowner told him to get out. He said, okay, but you better, have a gun and be safe or something. And then he walks out and he goes into another home where there's a man and a woman and their daughter who is having a sleepover with another girl, 11 years old, both of them. And he had a knife. He stripped down to his underwear or something like that and was piling on top of one of the 11-year-old girls and was stabbing her in the shoulder. He said his intent was to kill her and have sex with the body. Okay? This is the kind of depravity we have to worry about. This is just a normal home in Rockford, Michigan. And so dad came out, and with an amount of restraint I can't even imagine. He pulled him off of her and just held him at gunpoint. The Marine wasn't dead. The corporal wasn't killed. He just held him at gunpoint until the cops came. Again, there's no way the cops could have been there on time. And
so he had the gun and he didn't use it. He didn't even have to use it.
Well, and that's very common, right?
Yeah.
We see in the news, you see the stories where people shoot, but you and I know that many defensive gun uses are just brandishing or holding
Yeah.
people at.
I thought it was over 90% of the time, just the mere presence of the gun stops the bad guy.
Yep. I personally know somebody there was some harassing behavior, I'll call it, by some punks behind him in a movie theater. And all they did is unclip his holster and everything settled down, Anyway, that guy he just got sentenced for what he did, and it was 18 to 40 years, and he's serving time now for that.
Well, man, I think
Dan has a movie theater story as well.
I do.
Do you?
You got involved in this whole thing in the first place?
Oh, yeah, but everybody's heard my story.
I don't know.
Everybody's heard my story. I mean, that's okay. So, John, you want to hear my story, John?
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell us. So it was my wife and I. My wife and I were coming out of a late night movie theater in Albany, New York, Cross Gates Mall, and we just had a run in with this guy, and I was unarmed because I wasn't carrying a gun at the time, and it's just one of those things where, we got out of the situation unharmed, but it was enough to tell me, hey, stupid, what are you doing? You should be able to protect yourself and your wife. And so I told my wife that night, I said, I'm getting a gun. Because it just makes so much common sense. Why in the world would you be walking around unarmed, especially in places that are more dangerous than others? Just doesn't make any sense to me. So it makes perfect sense now to carry a gun and not let that stuff happen, right? Right, Anthony?
Yeah.
What's that all about? Anthony's having some sort of seizure.
No, I'm going
over
to say, New Orleans response time is like, what, a half hour?
36 minutes.
Would you go to near anywhere?
No.
They're
Go there?
New Orleans is the #1 most dangerous city in the U.S.
Is it?
150 murders a year.
God.
Why would you as a cop want to bother? Yeah.
Oh, as a cop to even work there,
You
you
could be
mean?
a victim.
If I can just beat a hobby horse here, right? You were converted, Dan, by that personal experience that humanized the need for a gun. That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, and hopefully other people will hear these stories. We talk about a guy that we know. We won't say his name, John, and he was telling us that telling me that if somebody broke into his house, he's an anti-gun guy. I said, well, do you have a firearm in your house to protect your family, right? And he goes, no, I don't need a firearm. I have a 9-iron. I'm like, what the hell are you gonna do with a 9-iron? And then what's he say after that, John? What's he gonna do with the guy?
You gonna talk to him?
He's gonna have a conversation with the guy.
Sit him down.
Yeah. Have a conversation with the.
Here's a free TV, sir.
Hey, I got a lot of news stories about that too. When you do this kind of research, you see all the stories. Oh, look, in California, somebody had to wrestle a gun away from somebody. Or look, in New York, somebody had to, fight somebody off with a baseball bat. I don't want to be within swinging distance of a guy who's invading my home. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Nobody's ever gonna come into my home and try anything. I mean, if they did,
Wasn't there like a stupid left senator who said you should just let them come in and take what they want? They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Sure,
Come on. VCR's over there. TV's over there. Hey, these morons.
Well, or he could be Joe Biden and just shoot through the door, right?
Right. You don't know what you're shooting at.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which we should do. Are we supposed to let them in and take our stuff, or are we supposed to shoot them through the door? I'm not sure which we're supposed to actually do.
Well, that's the thing. It's the mindset of these anti-gun people that's just it's delusional, number one, and it does drive me a little bit crazy because we see the facts, we see the statistics, we see the stories that you're writing about, Jake, and they still deny it because they've been so conditioned to either hate guns or fear guns. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, well, these are the same people that think that it's fine to have an open border and just let people walk across and do whatever they want to do.
Right.
Okay, where's that gotten us? How is that? That's another thing, Jake, though. I mean, that kind of situation when it comes to border control, I keep telling people, make it personal. Are you going to put up with that stuff on your own property? Just let people come and do whatever they want to do.
Right.
No one would ever do that, yet they advocate that we as a nation, for some reason, should have what I'm calling toxic empathy and say, oh, we have to let everybody in because they're just looking for a better life. Go look for it somewhere else.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love the toxic empathy idea. You've used that before, and it's a really good phrase. I'm stealing it. I'll try to attribute it where I can, but I can't guarantee I will every time.
There you go.
Well, hey, listen, Jake, we're going to take a short break, and then I want to get back into this, and I want to go to H.R. 38, the Constitutional Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act, all this stuff. We got a ton more to talk about. Be right back.
The Cali Key removes your AR from the definition of an assault weapon. It lets you keep your rifle with all its features, avoid registration hassles, and transport in hostile jurisdictions. The Cali Key also lets you hunt in jurisdictions like Pennsylvania and enhances long-range precision shooting. Cali Key's expert legal opinions empower informed decisions, and sales help grassroots Second Amendment organizations. Cali Key is your tool to keep and equip your AR, empower yourself, and defend your civil rights.
Our founding fathers saw them coming over 200 years away. That's why they wrote the Second Amendment. Join us in the fight to preserve your gun rights and stop unconstitutional gun control. Gun Owners of America is the country's only no-compromise gun rights organization. Not only do we inform and educate, but we bring the fight to court and win. Your God-given right to keep and bear arms is our top priority. Become a member today and help us take back America. Join us at gunowners.org. It's been proven that guns are used millions of times every year in America to save lives from violent attacks, but some states don't want you to be able to defend yourself from their own homegrown criminals. States like New York, Connecticut, and California, just to name a few, have decided that when you cross the border into their state, they want you unarmed, defenseless, and helpless against anything that may occur in their state. They don't care that you may have a concealed carry permit from another state. They think they can subvert the Second Amendment. It's ironic how the states with some of the most crime-ridden cities in the country, not surprisingly run by Democrats, are the same states that make sure you are vulnerable when you come to visit or are simply passing through. So while Democrats continue to cater to the criminals by letting them out of jail on early release and bail reform policies, while implementing more restrictive gun laws that ultimately put your life in danger, your vulnerability is their political currency. President Trump is wise to the fact that several states in the nation do not accept the handgun licenses of other states, which is why he's publicly called on Congress to pass H.R. 38, otherwise known as the Constitutional Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act. Your driver's license is accepted in 50 states, and your right to free speech is also recognized and accepted no matter where you are in the country. Why is your Second Amendment right shut down at the state border? H.R. 38 is a bill that would ensure your concealed carry permit is recognized in every state that allows concealed carry. Why would blue state legislatures be against such a common sense safety measure? As violence erupts across the country by radical anarchists, foreign terrorists, and gang violence, it's critically important that law-abiding citizens with concealed carry permits are able to exercise their right to self-defense anywhere in the country and not run the risk of becoming accidental criminals simply because they exercise their Second Amendment right in a state that refuses to abide by the Constitution. The ultimate goal, of course, being constitutional carry, just like our founding fathers would expect. But until then, we would like to see H.R. 38, the Reciprocity Act. Jake, I wanted to talk to you about this. What are your thoughts on Constitutional Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act, H.R. 38?
I think it's a major step in the right direction. You and I both we all four live in New York. I live on Long Island, and you know, the drive to civilian disarmament in our state is just incredible, right? I moved here 7 years ago to this county, and I was registering to get a firearm, and they needed 4 witnesses from to your good character from the current county. Couldn't be any other county in New York, and they couldn't be related to you. I'm like, I don't know anybody here. Like, how am I supposed to do it? So this is just another way that they would shut me down and make it so that I can't carry. So without something like HR 38, I think we are just going to continue to see this civilian disarmament. I think it's William Kirk's term, actually. This kind of civilian disarmament that is so pervasive in these kind of blue states.
Yeah, well, speaking of William Kirk, we just had him on the show a couple weeks ago. We were just talking to him. Another great mind in the Second Amendment world. But
He's phenomenal for sure.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, it just makes perfect sense. And there's, I mean, there are plenty of things we could talk about. Shaneen Allen. Do you remember Shaneen Allen, this woman from Philadelphia who has a legal Pennsylvania license with her handgun? She drives into Jersey. She gets a traffic infraction, and she's facing felony charges because Jersey doesn't accept Pennsylvania's license. She didn't do anything wrong. It's just such a shame.
You hear about things like there was a Marine, I forget the exact circumstance, but there was a Marine who was traveling between states. I think it was on like the Jersey Turnpike or something like that, or maybe further south on 95. And he was legal, but they pulled him over for something, and it caused just hell for him because he had a firearm in the car. Just, I don't know. If there's not some kind of standard, then people are going to be disarmed just by the fact that they feel concerned about traveling from one state to the next. And I don't blame them. I mean, frankly, I'm terrified of what New York wants to do to me.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when I travel a lot up and down the East Coast, and you know, I'm going to Virginia a lot, and South Carolina, and whatever, and you have to drive through the bad states, Jersey, you know, states like that don't accept your handgun license, and you got to follow the rules because every state's got a different, you know, whether. Okay, in this state, you can just carry it in a glove box. In this state, it's got to be, your magazine's got to be out. They got to be in separate locations, locked in a box, whatever. It's like, how do you keep track of all this stuff?
I don't know.
They want you to become a felon. They want you to screw up and become a felon.
They want to make an example of you, too.
Yeah.
It's not enough for you to screw up yourself so they can punish you. They want to make an example out of you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And speaking of gun laws, how they're, you know, just neutering in New York State, neutering, you know, semi-automatic rifles like the AR-15, which brings me to one of our sponsors here. I want to talk to you about this for a second. The Cali Key, this device, the Cali Key, removes your AR from the definition of assault weapon. Did you know that when so-called assault weapon ban lists are created, they exclude manually operated bolt-action firearms? So just by dropping this Cali Key into your direct impingement AR, in place of your semi-automatic BCG, you will have a bolt-action rifle that falls outside the definition of an assault weapon. So you don't need to do anything else. So give the Cali Key a look, because with it, you could retain all your rifle's features, avoid registration complications, revive your black rifle sales as an FFL, regain the ability to do private party transfers, legally transport across hostile jurisdictions, hunt with your AR in areas like Pennsylvania, enhance long-range precision and quiet or suppressed shooting. Cali Key has state-specific expert attorney opinions on its website and supports grassroots Second Amendment organizations with its sales. Cali Key's mission is to empower customers and claw back our civil liberties. So go to calikey.com and use the discount code LOADED. But Jake, this is just another example of how we have to jump through hoops just to have normal, everyday firearms. Crazy.
You know what's scary is even after you jump through the hoops, the local law enforcement, you know, not necessarily the cops themselves, they tend to be pretty pro-gun, but the local you know, DAs are going to do what they need to do. There's a story in the calendar from Hawaii, again, an unbelievable story, where a man who has been threatening a local family for some years, right? They've had an ongoing feud for some years. He takes a loader at some point, like a construction loader, and drives it. It smashes into the like a car in the guy's yard, and gets out, kills 3 women, and the homeowner runs out and shoots him. And you would think, okay, well, the homeowner's a hero. He was ready. He jumped through all of the red tape. He did everything necessary to have Hawaii allow him to have a gun. Thank you, you know, Your Honor, for allowing me to have a gun. And yet they prosecuted him.
Yeah.
For what he did. And there's a number of cases like that. That happens to be one of the more colorful, but there's a number of cases where you look at it, you're like, why are these people being prosecuted? And they have to go through all of that process. We know that the process actually is the punishment in many cases. Even if you get acquitted, you spend, you know,
look at the January 6th guys in jail for 4 years. But a lot of that stems from these equal force laws in certain states, you know.
Yeah, okay. He should have got another loader and went after the
He had
guy,
to go
right?
get another, you know, exactly, another bulldozer.
Go in my backyard.
Or he should have run away first, right? You've got a duty to retreat, so
You
you should
got
run
duty to
away
retreat.
from the loader.
Yeah.
Like, just let him plow it into your house or whatever he's going to do.
Unbelievable.
Um,
There are, as far as DGUs, defensive gun uses, there are 3 studies that I always refer to. And Jake, tell me what you think. You got the Gary Kleck, Mark Gertz study, Armed Resistance to Crime with a Firearm, I think it was called, or something like that. Showed us about 2.5 million defensive gun uses per year in America. Then you've got the CDC study, which from my understanding, Obama was trying to keep it from the public. And that eventually that information got out, and it showed 2.46 million defensive gun uses per year in America. Then the third one that I like to cite is the Georgetown University study. So you got this Georgetown University study. It's, you know, liberal think tank. They even come up with 1.67 million defensive gun uses per year in America. So it's pretty evident that there's a lot of defensive gun uses going on. What are your thoughts, Jake?
well, you know, when I first started this project, you know, people were saying, "Oh, well, there aren't that many defensive gun uses," and people, anti-gunners, friends of mine, despite everything, would point me to David Hemingway's study from a while ago. He's a Harvard anti-gunner who wanted to do a study. He showed that there were between 55,000 and 80,000 DGUs in the U.S. every year.
Okay.
And the problem with studies is you always have to look at the methodology. Like, people criticize Kleck for his study for sure. You know, 2.5 million seems way out of line, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? There are ways in which Kleck maybe overcounts. But then you look at Hemingway and you say 80,000, that doesn't sound like very much. 55,000, that doesn't sound like very much. Now, note, if you take out suicides, that's still way more than DGUs than there are gun homicides in a year.
Let's look at those numbers.
Who's
What
with
they
the
say.
lowest one?
If they say it's like 35 to 45,000 gun-related deaths per year, right? Something like that. Take out the suicides, exactly what you're talking about. That's 60%. You got to take those out because we know that suicides don't go down in the absence of guns. We saw it with Australia. So what are we left with, Jake?
Gangs.
What,
30.
12? I don't know, what, 12,000, 14,000?
Yeah, I think it was, the numbers have shifted a little bit, but I think it's like 44,000. You pull out 2/3. So yeah, that'll be about 15,000.
So
now,
and then you got on the low side, the study you just mentioned, 80,000 defensive gun uses. So again, twice as many lives are being saved by guns than are being taken by guns, and the vast majority of the ones that are being taken are gang related and law enforcement line of duty stuff, right? Am I close?
And I really want to point out that, like I said, every study, you have to criticize every study, look at the methodology. And when you look at what Hemingway did, he used the National Crime Victimization Survey, which means if there wasn't a police report that specifically said that there was a gun used to defend that person, then it didn't make it into a study. So where you can criticize Kleck and say 2.5 million sounds too high to me, you can bet that 80,000 is way too low. Like, there's just no way.
Sure.
So because, I mean, I've got a story in the calendar. There's one of the stories, a woman, the local news heard a woman talking about the fact that she had to use a firearm to defend herself. She didn't pull the trigger, so she didn't call 911. They asked the cops about it. There's no record, right? So that's never going to make it into Hemingway's study.
Exactly.
There are a number of others where there's just no reporting. One of the things that I've come away with from this project is just the lack of information we have about who these people are, what kind of situations they're in. We don't learn a lot from the police. There's just a lot we don't know. But I can tell you now that it's a constant occurrence within America. And the 80,000 versus 2.5 million versus whatever, I'm happy to say 500,000. I'm not happy to say 80,000. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No, I agree. All the ones that happen that don't get reported, I'm sure there's, tons.
Yeah.
What do you think, John?
Well, plus I think when you were talking, I was thinking that we talk about how to get information out there to people that don't have the information. And most of America that's not looking for this information only hears about the bad guys with guns shooting people. They never hear about anything else.
That's a big part of the
All
problem.
the sensationalized stuff is what they hear about. So that's they thinking, oh, guns are bad. What else would you think if that's all you're ever shown?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is all
And they-
worthwhile stuff.
And they have very emotional things that they can attach to, right? I have a person I care about very much who once posted on social media something about, tell me how much your Second Amendment rights matter to you, answer in numbers of school children. And that is a very powerful and emotional statement, like credit to the devil where it's due. But at the same time, what she doesn't understand is the number of people who've been positively affected by having guns. People who, a woman watching a Taylor Swift concert on TV with her daughter when a fugitive, not a refugee like in the immigration sense, but a fugitive from justice breaks into her house and is trying to steal her car and get money and everything else, and she's able to hold him at bay with a gun. Talk about the people who have their everyday lives interrupted, where somebody's in their house completely wasted on drugs and is starting to yell at them about how they owe them thousands of dollars. They've never seen this person before in their lives, and they're completely, astonished to have this person in there. What is that like? Make that real to people.
Yeah. Well, and another thing you mentioned is how they use the school kids. They literally stand on the graves of the school kids to push for gun control.
What is your Second Amendment right worth in school kids? First of all, the person who shot those school kids is an illegal gun owner 99% of the time ever, right?
And the irony of the whole thing is he's not supposed to be on the school premises with a gun.
And if somebody was there with a gun, they might have stopped the guy.
Yeah.
It's just it's a convoluted mess.
But then we go back to the Gun-Free School Zones Act. We always talk about the Gun-Free School Zones Act because ever since, school killings have doubled because teachers can't carry a gun, parents going in to pick up their kids can't carry a gun, staff can't carry a gun unless the school specifically designates. And if and when they do, some states they'll do it. They'll usually put like one security guard on there with an armed security.
And he's fat and overweight. He's in the car chomping down on a donut.
Twinkies.
What was that noise?
So consider when the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, I think it was, school in Florida.
Yep.
They had, I did the math because math matters, right? I did the math, and they had something like 211 staff members at the time that shooting occurred. Florida concealed carry permits is about 10% of the population.
Yeah.
So if the people in the school had carried concealed at the rate, the staff, had carried concealed at the rate that Florida typically has it permitted, they'd have had 21 people who could have stopped the shooter.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
But of course, we can't carry in schools. God forbid that we actually protect our children the way that, we protect every other precious asset we have.
Like Anthony said, you got one fat donut eating security guard doing nothing. Even if he did anything, he's at one entry.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how many. What's a school campus? A million square feet? I don't know.
And he probably doesn't even know the layout of the school, so he'd probably walk in and get popped anyway.
Right? How many entrances are there? You gotta have. If you're gonna do it with staff, and I'm certainly no expert at setting this up, but common sense would tell you that you gotta have somebody at every entrance. You gotta have it strategically planned out. And you gotta have several armed security guards. Otherwise, the easy way to do it is just let your staff carry a gun if they're inclined to do so. The left says, well, you want everybody to carry. You want to give the lunch lady a gun. No, just the people who are inclined to do that, who maybe carry every day anyway. Go ahead.
Passing pizza out, or she's popping lead. Whatever works for you.
Passing pizza and popping lead.
There you go.
They've done that. They've done that in Utah. Like if you look at Utah, they've had concealed. They've had the ability for teachers to carry concealed for some time. And Utah's culture may be really nice. I've been out there a number of times, but they've never had any significant issue. Never a bullet fired. That's a problem because of that.
Well, there's actually a statistic that shows, and I don't know if it was a John Lott study or what, but I think it was John Lott who said it. There's never been an attack, a school attack, even attempted, when staff and teachers are able to carry a gun.
Now, if you took the gun-free zone sign away and put staff is armed, no one's coming to your school.
You just change the sign.
Just change the sign.
Staff is armed and we'll shoot your ass.
That's it.
There you go.
Yeah. But no, we got to put up the gun-free school zone with that force field. Here comes the guy with the gun. Oh, I can't get in. I can't get in.
The sign.
Joe Biden said I can't get in.
The sign says no. Go ahead, Jake.
I was just going to say, coming back to HR 38, that is one of the criticisms that the FPC has about it, is that it doesn't prevent the states from saying that there are certain gun-free zones, basically designating all public spaces as gun-free zones. So, Kathy Hochul is still going to be able to say that you can't enter a post office with a gun. So I see that as a fair criticism of HR 38, but I'd still rather have what's there than not have it at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate that people have to die because of people like Kathy Hochul.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think they do this. They enact these gun-free zones and all these gun regulations and stuff because they need to stay true to their left-wing politics. Their politics and their ability to stay in office seems to be much more important to them than the kids or people. And go ahead.
Just a funny thing related to Kathy Hochul. There's a story. It's not in the calendar. It's one I published on the website. An immigrant from Yemen was working at a bodega, apparently owned by one of his relatives, and a guy came in and was absolutely violent. Shot him. The Yemeni shot him in self-defense, and it's no problem that the immigrant was here, but they're going to prosecute him for having a gun, right?
I think I remember that story.
Which laws do you want to actually follow here? Like, you're just going to let anybody through the border, but we're not going to actually let them defend themselves when they come in by having a gun that they can use to shoot somebody who is viciously attacking them in their place of work. Just like the hypocrisy kind of astounds me.
Well, then the problem with this is it's so blatantly obvious what these Democrats are doing with their policies. It's so obvious that they are on the side of the bad guys and trying to restrict the good guys and make us vulnerable. It's so obvious. You don't need to study this stuff as much as we have to know that left-wing policy is created to cater to the bad guys and make the good guys vulnerable. I don't understand how more Democrat voters aren't seeing this. Anthony? What do you think about Democrat voters? Come on, give us a
They're
little.
morons.
Well, there you go.
So he lives in Long Island. Who's the clown coming up off the rim here now, trying to put up the triple threat voting bullcrap? You got a GOP in Long Island now who wants to run for governor. Here we go again with the Mandami garbage, with 3 people running.
Oh, okay.
And all the votes going to the other person while you're taking away from this person.
Yeah.
What is up with that?
Yeah, I don't know much about the Long Island.
Some guy in Long Island's running for governor.
Yeah.
So here we go again we got 2 GOPs and 1 Democrat. What's going to happen?
Oh, right.
Elise is going to lose because this other clown's getting votes. We need to
Actually,
stop it.
Yeah, I don't know about the other clown, but I lived in New Jersey for about 20 years. I like to say I left the fire and fell into the frying pan. And it was pretty commonly known that the Democrats would run a secondary candidate, just get somebody to run just to split the vote. That's the whole purpose. It's part of the.
So now we're doing it.
I'm sure we've been doing it for a long time.
God, that pisses me off.
So we got another guy running now. So now Elise is going to get votes taken away. And here we go. We're going to be stuck with Hochul for another 4 years.
Oh, what a nightmare. First thing she did was let 191 criminals out of Rikers Island as soon as the disgraced Cuomo appointed her. Oh, God.
What's going on around here?
I want to talk about HR 38 real quick, though, because I pulled up Gun Owners of America, and the heck was that? Oh, my God, Anthony. This is what we see.
It's Christmas shopping reminder.
Is that his Amazon? Is that his Amazon
We
alarm?
need a bigger diamond.
Anyway, why we need HR 38. Simply put, this bill would ensure that your concealed carry permit is recognized in every state that allows concealed carry. Just like your First Amendment freedom of speech is not limited to your home state, neither should the rights protected under the Second Amendment be limited to the state where you live. This is a common sense solution that respects the rights of lawful gun owners and promotes public safety. Jake, my opinion on this is, yes, let's do this. Let's try to get this done. But we should be at constitutional carry. We shouldn't have a government-issued permission slip in any state. Our founding fathers would look at us right now and they'd be like, what's wrong with you people? You got a government-issued permission slip to carry a gun? What the hell's wrong with you? Anthony, you got to turn that crap off. What are you doing?
Stupid idiots going in the garage. Morons.
My God.
Rodents.
You know that the Bill of Rights
Jake.
the Bill of Rights almost wasn't put into the Constitution because people said, no, these things are so obvious that only idiots would allow themselves to be stripped
Yeah,
of
I
these rights.
believe it.
Right? Here we are. The Second Amendment, we can't even understand what shall not be infringed means. It's insane.
Yeah, shall not be infringed. I don't know how else you're supposed to interpret that. Is there any other way to interpret shall not be infringed? It means don't touch it, leave it alone. It's fine.
Shall.
They interpret it from the prefatory clause. They don't attack the shall not be infringed part. They say, oh, well, it's only talking about militias. They don't look at the legal definition of a militia. They don't I don't know. There's a really good amicus brief by Eugene Volokh that he submitted for the Heller decision back in the day that explains all of it so thoroughly you can't possibly miss. But we're going to ignore all that because we think guns are scary. As you like to say, fear is the biggest weapon.
Well, even in the Federalist Papers, they talked about that whole militia piece, how a well-regulated militia, because that's what the left likes to do. They like to say, well, well-regulated militia means we can implement gun laws. What? What are you talking about?
They can implement laws regarding the militia, perhaps, but you still need armed citizens to make up the militia. Where are they going to get the people from?
Yeah, exactly. But they try to twist the meaning of those words. A well-regulated militia does not mean gun restrictions. It has nothing to do. But that's what they try to do. And even in the Federalist Papers, they were talking about how well-regulated meant, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, how well-regulated just meant organized and ready to take action if necessary.
Right.
It was
Same
trained.
as rules about the military have nothing to do with the individual owning a gun. It's got nothing to do with it.
Right.
You're not in the military until they call you up. And don't they want experienced people that they're going to call up if they need help?
Sure.
That's what you would need.
Yeah. That doesn't mean you can only have a certain number of rounds.
Well, there you go.
Go ahead, Jake.
If anything, it means that the militia has the right to tell you need to own a firearm, and you better show up to muster with it, and it better be in good working order, and you better know how to use it. Right? That's what the prefatory clause means. Not, oh, we're going to take guns away from you. That's just stupid.
That's exactly
You
right.
got to have a good enough gun, or you can't get in the militia.
It's so funny because the mindset back then was exactly what Jake just said. It's like, it's not about gun restrictions. It's about you better have one and you know how to use it.
Yeah. And John, it's not just like you can't get into the militia. You're part of the militia whether you like it or not. You will be mustered, right? Yeah. So if you will be a part of the militia and it's got to be well regulated, then you will have a firearm and ammunition and know how to use it. Case closed. There's our Second Amendment, people. Let's go.
Well, it's like, what was I going to say? I lost my thing. But anyway, the guy in Long Island is Bruce Blakeman. Sounds like a fake character. Hi, I'm Bruce Blakeman.
So they're just running him to try to take votes away from Elise.
I don't know. I don't know what he does down in Long Island, but he's the guy that's running.
He's a Marvel supervillain, sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, so Jake, give us one more quick story before we have to wrap up, and then I also want you to tell people, how they can find you, how they can get this great calendar.
Sure.
Go ahead.
One more story then, one that my wife is again, she read that, was doing proofreading and stuff, and she completely changed, I won't say changed her opinions, but it changed how much it felt to her. There was a man who was trying to break into a house. I forget which city it is. A man was trying to break into a house. A woman and a couple of kids were inside, and they, backed off, got a firearm, were concerned about what was going to happen, but didn't, run away yet. he drove his car through the living room, just like slammed his car through the living room, at which point, of course, they retreated to a bedroom and locked themselves in a closet. And then he came and was continuing to try to find them until finally he did find them in a closet, and she shot him in the shoulder, at which point he left. The cops eventually picked him up after he had already left the premises. So again, no disrespect to cops, but they can't be there all the time. And this would have been so too late that, there's no telling what he would have done. But that, just imagine having that kind of violence enter your house, destroying your living room, and then somebody hunting you down with a gun. Just a terrifying thing. The stories, if you want to, hear more about them, you can go to goodguywithagun.online. That's where I'm publishing stories every day from now until infinity, because that thing that never happens every day, and I will always have a new story up on there. If you'd like to buy the calendar itself, you can go to goodguywithagun.online. There's a menu item that says get the calendar, and every single post has a link to the buy link to get the calendar. So I'd be very pleased to have people just telling these stories and sharing the information that's in it with as many people as possible.
And I want to just say this is a really unique thing, and I think it's really great. It's like a book almost, but it's not a book. It's a calendar, and you can read all these stories. But so I urge everybody to get a copy of this thing. It's really cool. I've never seen anything like it, Jake. I think you did a fantastic job with this. And we're going to put the link in the description of this video. Go ahead.
Thanks very much, man.
Nothing.
What's that?
You caught what?
Thanks so much.
Anthony's
like it.
being naughty.
Oh boy, Anthony's always got to take it somewhere, take it off the rails. Anyway, Jake, thanks so much, man. We really appreciate it. You did a fantastic job with this calendar. We appreciate having you on the show. And it's goodguywithagun.online, correct?
Online, that's right. Sorry I couldn't get the com, but it's goodguywithagun.online.
Oh, hey, I know what that's like. No problem. But thanks so much, Jake. We really appreciate it. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, everybody.
And thank you for watching on YouTube and Rumble and our new network, Spreely. You can also catch the podcast version on just about every podcast platform out there. My name is Dan Was, and the Second Amendment is not a privilege, it's your right.